Today's video is all about BLOCX, safety layer of DePIN, comprehensive all-in-one computer manager designed to meet your diverse needs while prioritizing security and efficiency. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project. We're going to be looking into the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, and figuring out whether if this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio for the up-and-coming bull run. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. And the question is BLOCX an opportunity? Guys, we're going to be doing some research today, doing a deep dive, looking into some of the details behind the project. We're going to be looking at the overall value proposition, the team, tokenomics, utility, and much more. And of course, we're going to be figuring out whether we should add this to our portfolio. We know that the up-and-coming bull run is going to be a magical one. We know that we're going to be making some gains, and we need to be totally allocated into the bullish projects that have fundamentals to back it, right? So we're going to be looking into BLOCX. We're going to be using the website, the main website, as the overall platform to navigate the project. Hopefully all the information we need is here so that we can get bullish. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. Overall, the statement, comprehensive all-in-one computer manager. Okay, designed to meet your diverse needs while prioritizing security and efficiency. And I think this is pretty cool. This is, you know, why not? Security, efficiency, privacy, maybe a bit of privacy concept there because of the security, and then safety layer of DePIN. The concept of DePIN, guys, you know, I'm afraid that a lot of blockchains now are jumping on, or projects in general are jumping on narratives. I remember when the AI narrative came out, everybody was jumping on that narrative, integrating and, you know, trying to seamlessly integrate these narratives within their projects. Now, the question is, you know, how does DePIN really fit into this security feature, right? Now, if we keep on scrolling down, let's see what's going on. We are featured on, okay, which is good. At least they're not claiming to have partnerships with these logos, which is good. They're featured here. A lot of exposure to the you know, the retail investor, which is really good stuff. Digital Journal, Business Insider, Core Market Cap, Coin Finance. Okay, that's fine. That's good exposure there. Now this section right here with all the links, I get it. I get these links. Now when I was doing the deep dive, when I was looking through this website trying to find the information, I totally overlooked this area right here. And the reason why I skimmed right through it so quickly, I didn't even realize how important these two links were. Of course, you have documentation and you have the white paper. It's because I usually scroll to the footer to find these documents, and I've been doing deep dives already for a while, okay, a good while, and every single project has a link to their white paper and documentation down in the footer. So I would suggest that, you know, all websites going forward try to, you know, understand that the everyday investor, the average retail investor, when they're doing their research, they tend to get used to, you know, where things are found on a website. And I would suggest that this is something that they consider. Put these links in addition to here, put them also in the footer, because that's where most of us are looking to find the white paper. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I do deep dives on a daily basis. I'm releasing them on a weekly basis, and that's what I found to be a very useful presentation on a website, is to have the information, you know, almost like a template. You expect every project to have the same information in the same spot. It makes life easier. You don't want no friction for the retail investor. All right, let's move on. We have access to the Explorer, which is good. Let's open this up in a new tab. We have a mining pool. Okay, fine. We can take a look at that documentation. White paper, I already have that open. They have a web wallet, Windows wallet, Mac OS, and Linux. So they got wallets going on, which is good. This is so far looking like a complete ecosystem, given the fact that they have already their own wallet, which is good. One-stop solution for computer management. So what are we talking about here? It looks like an application that basically protects you from malware, internet services, remote access, access, non-custodial wallet. Okay, the wallet is integrated into this, I guess. Device health, AI assistant. Okay, password vault and marketplace. We are one-stop shop solution offering comprehensive range of features and services. Pretty cool. Okay, that's cool. Like, why not? Sure, if it's a computer management to help protect you, and at the same time, remember the security aspect of things could definitely be a part of that cat and mouse game. You know, security, malware, security, malware, so on and so forth, back and forth, back and forth. And maybe what they're trying to do is just maybe look forward thinking, forward thinking to see where would the average individual getting into Web3 need some services. And of course, security is one of them, all of that malware protection and all that. So pretty good. I like that utility. The wallet, another utility, of course, you can get access to it. Google Play and App Store, which is really good. You can get on chain, take your tokens off exchanges and all that good stuff. 100% decentralized messenger. Guys, this was just recently released a couple weeks ago, which is pretty cool. We're seeing a lot of new players into this type of messaging space. Let's call it a social media space, if you will. It does look like a Telegram type of scenario, but maybe very similar. It's secured encryption, AXI and SEA, a protocol, wallet connect, send crypto, so you can send crypto right on the messenger, which is good. I'm anticipating that a lot of the existing Web2 messengers are slowly going to jump on this bandwagon. Of course, that's we're expecting X to do this, so they're trying to stay with the competition and stay one step ahead. That's really good. Chat, voice, video call, text to voice, a lot of good stuff here from a typical text-based messenger so far. This is really good. So it's called B.txt. I think that's a good utility. Again, lots of good stuff here. Media, if you want to check out the video, if you want to check out their web, pretty good stuff. Distributed computing marketplace. So now we're talking about the DPIN. So the DPIN aspect of things with regards to the entire crypto space. This is a hot narrative, guys. Super hot narrative. Now, some may argue that, okay, maybe they're just jumping on the narrative, jumping on the bandwagon. It could be the case, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have to give developers a little bit of an understanding. They're going to pivot. They're going to pivot where the market is going. And would you rather them not? Now, we could accuse them of just jumping on bandwagons from a negative perspective, but then again, you could say, at least they were able to identify an opportunity. At least they were able to identify where the market is going and where the retail investor is looking and willing to participate. So it's not a bad thing to see a team pivot a little bit while still maintaining their core competency, which was security and privacy and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, providing a specialization here or a bit of a branch off to a marketplace that is dedicated to computing, right? Basically decentralized rendering, decentralized storage rental, custom Docker. That's what they got here. The overall interface, machine learning, and computing power. So this is good. This is a competitor to many powerful projects in this rally that we've been seeing so far. And for them to be directly related to where the market is looking, it could be a good, value proposition. Now, what I'm interested in is that the main statement. Let's quickly roll up here for a second so we can look at their main statement, because safety layer of DPIN. So it's like, okay, maybe other projects do have DPIN. Maybe they do have the DPIN aspect and they're doing really well with that distributed or decentralized processing. But what they're doing is saying, look, we're going to do that, but we're going to emphasize or put a bit of our value proposition, which is the safety, on top. So there is a safety layer on top of the DPIN. So it's not bad. At least they're augmenting the DPIN narrative by adding the safety feature, which I kind of appreciate. Not bad. Okay, at least they're willing to pivot and keep up to date. We have it all. Okay, malware protection, device health, internet services, AI assistant, remote access, password vault. Holy smokes, they got everything. Built-in wallet, marketplace, swap, cloud services, a lot happening. Could some argue that maybe they're spread too wide? Maybe there's too much like lack of focus. Is this something that we should be considering? Now, I know that was a big criticism for other projects that did a very similar thing. For example, ICP, very broad and a lot happening, but at the end of the day, if they can handle it, if they're delivering, if their roadmap is delivering, then what's the issue here? Maybe their team is strong. Maybe they got a lot of people in the background that are working really hard. Maybe there's talent involved here. Who knows what's going on? At the end of the day, are they delivering? And so far, it seems like they are. So we got to take it for what it is. Let's move on. What else do we have here? We have masternode partners. Okay, so they have partners, and we'll talk about what the masternodes are in a second, because it's definitely part of their structure of how the project works, or the tech stack works. So masternode partners, we got Flux, Node Hub, of course Flux, well known to many, Node Orbit, and so on. So that's good. Shared masternode, so there's a way to get a shared masternode instead of owning your own. So nodes, which is pretty good. Masternode status, all that kind of stuff, so you can monitor it. And then BTXT, this is what we talked about above. This is coming soon on mobile devices, which is good. This is what we kind of need. I would say this is the most important addition to the overall utility of this type of project, which is the messaging app. They need to have it on mobile. That is definitely a fact. Okay, so Gary Hopper, guys, that's the alias of the founder. Is Gary Hopper. We'll talk about the team and the founder in a second, which is pretty cool. I was wondering who Gary Hopper is, but he did dox himself recently, so that's good. So we're able to know what he's about and who he is, and so on and so forth. Frequently asked questions, the X11 algorithm. Okay, this is all good stuff. If you want to get down to that very technical aspect of things, it is on the white papers, on the doc, so you can read into that. I'm not going to get into that much detail here, guys. We're going to be looking at this from a Web3, just project type of scenario. If you want to get into the tech stack, that you're more than welcome to get to that level. Is mining available for Block? Yes, BLOCX has mining. It's a proof of work project, right? And then there is scenarios where you're going to see that there is validators and nodes and so on. So this is important. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. Utility, lots of use case, and we'll talk about that as well, but might as well go through it right here. Collateral for the master nodes, that's a big one, because the master nodes themselves, in order to become a master node, you need to hold by staking 100,000 BLOCX. I think this was updated and changed. I have an updated version or a different version of it. I think it was changed recently, but I'll double check. I hope that there's a consistency, and if there isn't, I think it's off by a 0. Maybe it was a typo or a misunderstanding on my behalf, but nonetheless, there's some tokens that need to be basically staked, and right here it's saying 100,000 units need to be staked in order to become a masternode operator. So just keep that in mind. Collateral for BLOCX, premium security. Sure, BLOCX is also a collateral to access premium security and features. So if you want to get access to that security features that they got going on, you need to basically stake up or provide collateral for BLOCX. That's pretty much how it works. Payment for GPU and CPU rental. So if you want to provide GPU and CPU processing power to the pool, you are more than welcome to do that, of course, and you're going to get rewarded in coins and tokens and coins, and then that way there's going to be a medium of exchange via those coins. Okay, so the BLOCX coin will serve as a primary payment method for renting GPUs and CPUs and so on and so forth. So pretty good stuff for that ecosystem itself. Cloud storage rental. BLOCX will also be used for cloud storage rental within the ecosystem. So again, hard drive space. Just all it is, providing hard drive space to individuals, and they're going to be rewarding those individuals that provide that hard drive space. Okay, so pretty good, pretty self-explanatory. The DPIN, the security, and all that. So it's pretty good. What services will be available for BLOCX? Password vault, we talked about this. It was all right on the main page. Go check it out. There's a lot happening there for an overall utility, small little utilities within one big utility, sub-utilities, let's call them, and doing pretty good here if you're looking for some features with that. Okay, so that's good. Medium, there's some articles, Sunday news, and so on. They get news weekly progress and upcoming weekly insights, which is good. Keeping up with the communities, awesome. Subscribe to the Medium newsletter, great stuff there if you want to get access to that. And down to the footer, you got some socials. I went under Discord. I'm just gonna say that I wasn't really crazy about the sign up process, the verification process, very invasive, too much friction. I gave up. I'm not gonna be inviting or providing access to my Discords and my stuff. There's no way. I think that it's a little bit too much friction to get in, so I did pivot and went into the Telegram, which was a little bit less invasive, and for me that worked out. So I was able to get in touch with some of the main players, which is good, and the founder is definitely active on Telegram, which is pretty good. At least you can get some direct communication now that the overall let's call it community is somewhat small. You have a lot more access to the major players of the project, which is good. And the Discord, of course, X is always there, and we'll talk about X and their overall social engagement in a second. And then we have other partners, which is good. Nucleo Cloud, Flux Labs, we saw that already, in Swift Blockchain, which is good. Also to have a few partners in the works. I would like to know a little bit more of all these partnerships and how they work and what they're actually working on with one another. But still, to see such a small project with a small market cap already have some really strategic partnerships, that's really good. Now, channel verification, terms and conditions, privacy, I would expect a little bit more down here as far as footer goes. Like I said, white papers and documentation, but all good, guys. We already talked about that. So the website's pretty clear. I kind of like it. It gives us everything we kind of need so far. Links to what we need and the overall value proposition. There's not much ambiguity here. We have governance. Let's open that up, because this is governed by a DAO. You can write proposals and connect the wallet. So we'll kind of go through all of these in a second. Let's see. Welcome to BLOCX. This is the documents. This is their X. This is the governance. If you want to create a proposal, you can go and create a proposal. So at the end of the day, if you're a holder, you can have a bit of say into what happens next on the network or to the network, so which is good. So decentralized autonomous organization. Then we have the scanner, where we can see exactly what's going on with the wallets. We are on block 1. Let's see, 193,000, so on, 965 blocks already, which is pretty active. Look at the network hash rate is growing and looking fairly strong. Good sign. The price is irrelevant, but still 10 cents, not bad. 10 cents in a quarter, so that's really good. Coin supply, master nodes, market cap. We'll talk all about this when we talk about the tokenomics. So pretty good overall. We can keep this on the side to kind of keep ourselves basically have access to it. The white papers. So the white paper is a little bit outdated. September 2023. It was made aware to me that it was outdated. Actually, the founder himself said it was slightly outdated, that it needs an update, and I agree, it needs an update. So at least they're well aware that this needs an update. And in fact, you know what, as I do these deep dives, I'm starting to really appreciate the Git book instead, right? It's a very active document. You can provide very active links and so on and so forth, rather than a PDF being so static. I know you could put also links in PDFs. I just feel that it's just a lot more convenient with the doc, the Git book. And I'm just curious as to whether this can start being a standard, an official way of releasing white papers instead of on a PDF. But nonetheless, either way, there's a lot of good information. We just got to take it with a grain of salt, because it could be slightly outdated. It's been almost a year, slightly less than a year, of course. The abstract telling you what it's about, remote access, some of the things that it has available. White paper extends an invitation to delve deep into the technical foundation of BLOCX, uncovering the X11 algorithm, right? So this is their algorithm that they have going on here, and you can see there's a lot of little details here about the scope of the white paper and some data as to why global volume of crypto stolen and why they want to get into the security of things, which was their core competency and their first initial offerings when they first came out, and slowly they started pivoting into depend. And this is something that was brought to my attention by some of the members of my Discord, basically saying, look, it's kind of confusing to see a project pivot from one narrative and be so focused on one narrative and move on to another, especially when it starts trending. But I already told you what I feel. At least you were able to identify somewhere to focus, because maybe there's some opportunity there. When you're doing a SWOT analysis, figuring out where the opportunities are, you definitely have to identify at least that if there's an opportunity, and if you can be a part of that opportunity. Imagine if they didn't. I think there would be criticism both ways. Oh, they weren't able to pivot into an opportunity, and there's criticism, right? So we got to kind of take it day by day, and let's see where this unfolds. A lot of things happening here. Collateral, we talked about all of this already. The utility of the token, token. So nice visual representation. BLOCX. Okay, something where we can spend a little time here. I think this might be repetitive as well, also on the doc, on the Git book, but nonetheless, we have a nice little diagram here. Max supply is 169 million tokens or coins. Super block reward and dev rewards, so developers are going to get 3% over time, and it gets fully diluted after 10 years. Okay, so this is something to consider. It is a proof of work, but all the tokens eventually, based on the emissions and the halvings that they have, there's going to be it's going to take 10 years for all the tokens to enter circulation. So that's a good thing with regards to tokenomics. You know that a lot of tokens are not going to be hitting the market all at once. Mining rewards 44%, so the miners are going to get 44%. Remember, this is a proof of work, but regular master node rewards. So this is a dual system where you have nodes that are doing specific tasks and are going to get rewarded 44%, and then you have miners that are going to get rewarded 44%. And these specific node holders, their job, their utility, their purpose is to make things efficient and speed and quick. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a little bit more. And then there's a different tier of master node that is a light version that they're going to get less rewards but still be able to participate. Okay, so let's keep that in mind, all of this in mind, while we look at the definitions of some of these you know, these characteristics. Collateral for master nodes. Okay, we already talked about that. You need some collateral there, and there's some numbers below. I think right here. See, 100,000. Yes, so there's confluence with this number. It's 100,000 BLOCX coins, so that's good. That's good. There's confluence. What else do we have? Let's make sure that we stay on point here. Collateral for premium security and system features. We talked about this. Payment for GPU and CPU. We talked about that. Trading on block. That wasn't specified on the previous, because I understand that at the end of the day it's a currency. It's a coin, and it can be traded on the block DEX. So they're going to end up having a DEX, and they have a DEX where you can go in and trade and swap and so on, and which is ideal, which is good. Okay, so they offer that as a value proposition. What else do we have here? Guardians of Innovation. These are the BLOCX master nodes. What are the master nodes? The significance of the master nodes. Okay, so basically it's to make instant transactions. The master nodes boast the ability to validate transactions almost instantaneously. This is one of the purposes or the reasons why they introduced this structure, is to allow certain nodes to focus on speed and validation. Network support. Master nodes actively support the network's infrastructure beyond transactions and validation. So they play a pivotal role in ensuring the network's reliability and uptime. Okay, so focusing on these things allow the network to actually perform at a higher level by allowing some nodes to specialize in achieving these goals. Enhancing transaction privacy. Again, privacy and security kind of go hand in hand, so I kind of like this. By mixing multiple transactions together, they obscure the origins and destinations of the coins, bolstering privacy and security. This is something that we've been seeing throughout the market last little while. A lot of projects now are, I think they're going to start unleashing their full security measures and privacy measures, given the fact that we've gotten a lot of bullishness and a lot of acceptance now from regulation, you know, from the political standpoint and so on and so forth. I can see that the privacy narrative could start picking up and starting allowing the narrative to actually spread its wings just a little bit. Governance and decision making. We talked about this. There's no real necessity to get into too much detail. It is decentralized governing, basically a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. If you want to vote on particular implementations or make some proposals, this is definitely available to you, where master node operators become vital participants in shaping the network's future. So in order for you to be part of the DAO, you need to be a master node operator, and of course, to be a node operator, you need to hold 100,000 tokens. So this is where we're at with that. Mission schedule. I really would have appreciated to see this on a graph, because this emission schedule does have a bit of details that we need to kind of see. Now, there is a chart on the docs, and we'll go look at those docs in a second, but no real graph, like a linear graph or something to show exact emissions over time and from a visual perspective. I would have liked to see that. I would have appreciated it. I think the retail market, the retail investor would definitely appreciate it. And I try to encourage teams to always always come forward from a retail perspective, right? Not from a developer perspective, not from a business perspective, from a retail investor, everyday person perspective, because you want to get the overall mass adoption from the retail investor. And the only way to do that is to make it palatable, make it understandable, make it easy to digest for those individuals. So that's what my job is here for, is to kind of, bridge that gap and, assist both ways. And in this case, there's a little bit here with regards to emissions. Let's see, nurturing sustainable growth. There's an emission schedule, emission rate. Emission rate represents a pace which BLOCX coins are introduced into circulation. Of course, we know that block rewards, you get rewards for miners and validators, all get rewarded. Network growth is accelerated in organic expansions coupled with control emissions, infuses a sense of trust. A lot happening here, guys. A lot happening here as the emission rate gradually decreases over time. So again, over the halving, right, it gets reduced approximately 20% over the halving. And we're going to talk about, I think the halving happens every 5 months or so. We'll take a look at the chart, the one that I was able to find on the docs. Okay, so they go into a little bit of the details with regard to their SKUs, what they offer, their dApps. So BLOCX desktop, if you want to know more about that, the malware protection, cloud services, and internet security, and so on. That's where they started off with, was the security aspect of things, but bit by bit they're branching off of 2 different applications and utility, password vault, and lots of good stuff here that could provide a lot for the retail investor. Now we can see that we do have a roadmap. Now you can see we're slowly getting towards the end of this roadmap. Now, is this up to date, considering that this was written in 2023 in September? We're hitting the ending. It's due for an update. This white paper is due for an update, and I encourage that the Git book be the focus of the update. I think Git books are great. They do a great job of displaying information in a very dynamic way. So not bad, but we need this a bit of an update. We're hitting a lot of the milestones already. I think so far there was a lot of clarity provided in the past. We just got to make sure that we continue providing that clarity for the future. So we want to know what's going to be happening for the next 2 years, particularly in the next year, because the next year is where all the magic should be happening. Bull run tops. Where are we going with this? What are we going to be doing here in order to provide value for the retail investor? Our roadmap underscores our commitment to empowering users with innovation solution, robust security, enhancing good stuff. Okay, a nice statement. Governance, we talked about that. I don't want to spend too much time there. Exceptional team driving. Okay, so Gary Hopper, now this is updated. Fine. I don't know what this is. These guys are not doxed. Team lead and back end at the helm of this. So I don't know who this individual's there. Gary Hopper himself, his name's not Gary Hopper. We'll talk about him in a second, who the actual founder is, but he mentioned that nobody else is doxed. And in the future, they plan on getting everybody doxed, where they can, slowly get out there and show the talent that they have in the background. Unfortunately, in the meantime, we're going to have to be very critical at the fact that we don't know much about the team. And we're going to have to be critical about the fact is that this, Gary Hopper, which is, again, not his real name, does he have the talent, or does he have the experience? Does he have the connections to drive this project to the next level on his own? Because we don't know the rest of the team. Okay, so moderator Cody, so this community moderator, I don't know if this is still valid or not, because again, it's been about a year. Marketing and social media, these are all undoxed names and undoxed individuals, so it's very hard to really trust undoxed information. This could just I don't know who they are and what they're from, and so on. LinkedIn is a great tool nowadays. I encourage all teams to have their LinkedIn profiles up to date, ready to go, so that we can get an understanding of where they came from, their history, if they've worked in the blockchain space, if they're full stack developers, if they've do they have the right degrees in education and mentorships, or whatever the case is. We need that information, and unfortunately sometimes teams decide not to be fully doxed for many reasons, and all the respect to them if they want privacy, but you just have to understand is that that's going to be a negative effect as to how we get comfortable with the project. It's a given. It has to be understood, and the team has to be willing to take it on the chin with that criticism, right? That's at least they're able to counterbalance in other ways if they are able to understand that it is going to be a criticism for the general investor. So conclusion, key takeaways, lots of good stuff to wrap this all up. Master nodes, gradual emissions, all that. So feel free to read through this, legal and compliance considerations. And because of the privacy issue, I can imagine that it is always in the back end thinking about, how are, regulators going to be taking this privacy narrative going forward, given that we've seen a lot of other privacy projects take a bit of a hit, particularly with being delisted on major exchanges. Okay, so that's that. White paper is pretty good, giving you a little bit of everything and pretty let's say friendly to the retail investor, easy to read, well balanced, and but definitely needs a bit of an update. Now, if we go here, sticking with documents, let's get this out of the way so we can be quite comfortable with what's happening here. This is the overview. We did this already. I don't want to get into a repetition here. Marketplace, the messenger, the all-in-one computer. So we're seeing repetition. We're getting comfortable with what this is all about. Features. Master nodes enabling the following service. So master nodes focus on this. Instant send allows for near instant transactions. So I just want to say one thing before we move on. This has been updated just recently, about 8 months ago, which is still slightly outdated. But again, it's a little bit more recent than maybe not. Look, we need updated information, but still, it's still valid. It's still good. We get a bit of an idea what's going on here. Coin join gives financial privacy. Chain locks, which protects blockchains against 51% mining attacks. Governance and treasury. Okay, this is what master nodes are all about. We talked about this in a little bit. You need 100,000 BLOCX tokens, coins, in order to become part of the DAO, and in order to become a master node owner. Okay, and a little bit more detail with what this is all about, the coin join and all that kind of stuff. Coin properties, a little bit vague, but a little bit of just a quick brief. Coin supply, fine, that's maxed out at 169 million. Pre-mine, before the pre-mining, there was 3 million tokens. Super block reward, dev fund 3%. We talked about all of this already. So just note that now master nodes, regular master nodes, are going to earn 44% of the emissions. Okay, so as we get tokens emitted, they're going to earn 44%. They're a big part of the network, right? We've talked about what the master nodes do, and they deserve rewards for making things quicker, more secure, and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to get rewarded alongside the miners. And you can see that there's 2 tiers of master nodes: the regular, which get 44%, and the light, which get 4%. Okay, so a lot less if you're a light miner, and it's only 10,000 BLOCX tokens that you need in order to earn that reward passively. Master node confirmation 6 blocks, block time 1.5 minutes, transaction confirmation 4 blocks. Okay, so that's that. This is their algorithm. If you want to get into specific details behind the proof of work algorithm, feel free. There's advantages, and they try to make that a very technical thing if you're interested. I'm not going to get into that detail because the majority of the retail investor, again, it flies right over their head. We want to know if there are some red flags with bigger picture ideas. Let's talk about the emissions for a second. The only thing that I don't like about this emissions is the way it's hard to read all of the columns, right? The halving, the first halving, so on, and the block height. Like, I can't even click this. I was able to click this, or maybe scroll over. Okay, you get what I mean? Like, you can't really navigate this easily. Like, how do I push this over? I can't. And then in order for me to push it over, I gotta scooch this over, and then I lose where I'm at. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to really to navigate and to read and interpret the rows and the columns accordingly in this fashion. What would be better is a different display. I know they have the information here. It's very clear that it's all here, what we need. It's just hard to read from a physical, from a formatting perspective. Okay, so I would suggest that this be reconsidered on how it's displayed because it makes things difficult. So according to the blocks that were block rewards, where we're at with the blocks, we are right into this level. I think we're in having the 8th halving, right around this zone. And after the 8th halving, we're noticing that the time of the halvings are 5 months long, and after that we continue with that 5-month long halving. So every 5 months we are going to have a halving. And if you notice, the block rewards, in fact, they reduce after by approximately 20% as we continue coming down month by month, 5 months at a time. Basically, halving by halving, it reduces by 20%. So overall, we're seeing a deflationary type of aspect where there's going to be negative pressure on the price, in the sense that the price is going to potentially look a lot more appealing at lower prices. People are going to start buying up, right? Because as less enters circulation, it becomes more scarce. People want to start holding, and of course, being a master node holder and all that good stuff, you're going to need those tokens. And this type of arrangement is one that is very common in the proof of work. Given even Bitcoin, for the example, after each halving, the supply rate gets halved, and the supply rate just gets reduced by 20%. And over time, after the 10 years, basically all of the tokens will be in circulation and fully diluted, which is a bit of time. Now, we have to understand that with the emissions, the team, the miners, see, this is what makes things difficult. Like, you got miners, the miners, the master node holders, the devs, the developers, 3%, and you see, I have to keep on coming down to kind of like do this thing, which is annoying, but what are you gonna do? And that sort of thing, they all get distributed tokens over time out of the oversupply that gets released over the halvings. Okay, so this is what we got to understand, where we block height. So we're good. So this is pretty much how it is: a slow distribution of tokens over 10 years, and we do have a lot more halvings left. We're at the 8th. We have 31 halvings. So you get what I mean. No real pressure for dilution in the immediate short term as tokens enter the market. Okay, and just understand too, an addition is that we're if we are in the consensus that we are in a bull run, don't expect developers and node holders and so on and so forth for them to start selling on the market now. In fact, the way we are positioned in the current state of the market, it would be ideal for anybody to hold, given that we should be again convicted that we are entering the peak of the bull run. We're eventually going to start moving to the upside and continue the bull run. So why would you be holding? Now, what we have to understand is that the bull run, and if the upturn takes, let's say, a whole year, a year and a half, until we reach the peak or whatever the case is, just to understand that there's going to be a few more tokens being minted after every 5 months. So we can have another 2 or 3 halvings in between, maybe more, maybe 4, you never know, right? So, and in that case, at the top of the bull run, just understand that there were a few individuals already, holding tokens. It's very likely there's going to be a lot of profit taking in the market, and BLOCX could be one of those projects that there will be a lot of profit taking. Guys, just know that emissions eventually does take its toll when the market starts to look bearish. When the market looks bearish, that's where we start to see a lot of these tokens that enter the market take their toll, and then they start diluting the price over time because people take profit, and they understand that altcoins come down significantly in the bear market, right? 90% retracements to previous lows. Okay, so just think about it like that. It's a proof of work. If you want to know a little bit more of the proof of work mining and all that, if you want to get into regular mining, the light mining, they give you detailed instructions: install the Sentinel, unlock the master node, and you got lots of stuff, a lot of documentation. If you want to know about their BTXT, if you want to look into some of the details regarding their messaging structure and all that. So there's a lot of good stuff. The ledger, governance of the DAO, of course. You want to get involved in the DAO, more detail there, proposals and voting, and there's other links here if you want to get into that website documentation, which we covered all of these pretty much so far. I think the most useful place to get information and get in contact with the team or the major players is in the Telegram. However, as a Discord user myself, I would appreciate, maybe them to lighten up on some of the Discord requirements to enter and to validate. Just so much friction. Okay, so that's that. We did good. We talked about white papers, documentation. What else? So let me get rid of it. Let me just kind of let's check out the Explorer. So they're on this block. You can check out the block and then check out the emissions and see where we're at any given time. I noticed that a lot of teams don't put a TGE genesis dates, but if you look at the block and you look and you compare it with the emission schedule, you can figure out exactly where we're at, and we're at the 8th halving as we speak. Okay, so that's that. And we covered this in pretty good detail. Now, let's take a look at their socials for a second. The exciting news by blockers. B.txt web has officially landed. So I figured what they're really trying to do now is try to push forward with the actual applications for Android and iOS, which would be super useful. Of course, that for me would be the biggest utility, and that's that with this. Now I want to look at the team. There's a lot of good. They're fairly active, somewhat active. Let's put it that way. I would prefer a little bit more activity. We'll talk about their activity on. I got some data for you guys as usual when I do the infographic that I prepare. So we'll talk about that. I want to see if I can find some things on the team. The team is important, guys. I did do a bit of research. Now, what's interesting to me with regards to the team is that there's only one individual that is doxed. Let's see if I can get access to it really quick. Sometimes, let's see what I can get on LinkedIn. It's a great place. I think all teams should be prepared with that. If you go people, right into here, let's get rid of this. All right, we have, this is who we're talking about right now. Okay, so if we look into him a little bit more, we can get an idea of what he's about. So Rainer, founder, CEO at B.Tech and Innovations, Estonia, which is okay. University of Taru, fine. We got some university education happening. Let's go straight down to his experience. He is the full-time currently, and he's the founder of BLOCX, entrepreneur driving innovation, technology industry. And then if you keep on going down, what kind of bothers me, of course, is that number one, I want to say clearly is that this is the information that is provided. And if it's not up to date, it would be the responsibility of the team to keep this up to date. We go from Rainer being an intern, basically internship at a software engineering internship for 4 months, jumping right into the project. Before that, he was a sous chef. So this kind of bothers me just a little bit because it doesn't seem like there's major experience happening here. We go from being a sous chef to be getting 4 months internship. It looks like he's trying JavaScript, React, so full stack developer pretty much. Okay, internship, and then all of a sudden getting into BLOCX within a few months there. So can we conclude really that we are confident of, you know, his experience and maybe even education? Education, he has a bachelor's of law. So from 2019 to 2022. So generally speaking, you know, we're seeing a bit of an issue because, you know, number one, he's young, which is good, a good thing, fresh new ideas, you know, hustle mentality. I get it. But nonetheless, none of this really has to do with, you know, the blockchain development. And to be honest, there's no education that I can see here that has to do with, you know, computer science or engineering or anything like that. A sous chef straight to an internship, and then all of a sudden straight to BLOCX. Look, this could be in a nothing burger. This may not be an issue. However, as it's written here, as I see it, I have to conclude that the main person, the founder, is not really that experienced. Right? So if there is an update here, if there is more information with regards to Rainer, it would be his responsibility to make this up to date so that we can get comfortable and we don't have anybody else on the team that is doxed to look for, you know, validation or confluence or any confidence that the team has talent. Now we can look at the final product, you know, maybe that's where, you know, put your money where your mouth is type of thing and let the product speak for itself. I guess, you know, we could put faith, you know, faith-based systems. You guys know I don't approve of those. We need to have a bit of the data so we can feel comfortable with things, and it directly relates to how much of a position you're willing to get into as an investor into the project. But as of now, I got to make sure it's very clear that there's not much happening here with regards to the team. So I'm going to take it, it's going to take it hard on far as my my recommendation is it's going to take a bit of a hit here because there's nothing much to offer than, you know, a very little experience between the internship and what's been happening here with BLOCX. And we don't know if there's a really talented engineer in the background that's involved in the team. It could be, but we don't know, right? So if we don't know, we're going to have to take it as it is for face value. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see what else do we have. Any more information here on the website? Nothing really. We covered it all. It was pretty decent. I'll admit, pretty decent. You guys know that I do release a infographic for you guys where we discuss some of the details behind the project. So let's do that right now. We do have a decent project that has a lot to offer. Its ecosystem is quite robust. So I'm going to be very clear. They have three main parts as of now. I would say that the DEX is currently missing from this equation, but we can definitely emphasize that we have a desktop all-in-one computer manager. We have the text decentralized messenger. We have BLOCX marketplace for the DPIN distributed computing infrastructure that they got going on, which is super good. Of course, it's going along with one of the hottest narratives out there for this bull run. The utility, what is the token or the coin used for? Collateral for master nodes. We talked about this. It's actually 100K, not 10K. Collateral for premium security and system features. Payment for GPU and CPU rental and cloud storage. These are all important aspects, of course, on what we need this token for in order to participate in the ecosystem. Just keep in mind that the ecosystem is all native. There's no external applications being built at the current moment, maybe in the future, but all these seem to be internal applications that are developed by the core creator of the chain itself. Roadmap, this is where we're at, where I feel like we need a bit of an update, but we have the second quarter to the third quarter of 2024 decentralized marketplace, storage rental, CPU and GPU rental, and desktop program updates. This is what they're focusing on. I think it needs an update itself. We need to know where they're going in 2025 so we can stay one step ahead and realize where they're going to be allocating some of their capital or even interest or efforts in the next little while. The team, guys, this is where it was a tough one for me because it could be that the team is solid. It could be that they have a stellar team, but I have no evidence to suggest that there is, other than, you know, the bit of information that we were able to get on Rainer. Rainer, at the end of the day, he has limited experience of software development, as can be seen, and or blockchain. So we need a little bit more. We need to know that the team is backed by somebody that understands the development side of things thoroughly and the environment in general, like the overall market in general. We need someone there that has some blockchain or Web3 experience. No formal education in computer science. Not that it is necessary, given that, you know, I do have formal education in computer science and been practicing as an engineer for many years. I know that there's some great and talented individuals that don't need formal education, but nonetheless, we're looking for clues here, guys. We're looking for clues, and we give it 5 out of 10. Okay, so that's it. Once they get doxed and we can see what the team is all about, maybe we can give it a little bit of a higher. And I think I was still even a bit generous with the 5 out of 10 in my opinion. Social, I would say 6 out of 10 here, given the fact that the followers, they only have 17.7K followers, not too many. But nonetheless, what bothers me is this. They have 9 followers for the last 30 days. They were only able to get 9 followers in 30 days, and it is down 97%. So in the month previous, okay, they got, let's make it easy for ourselves, they got 20 followers. This month, this last 30 days, they got 9. So it's really coming down. It's taking a toll on their socials. They need to get going here. Do they have a marketing budget? Who's part of the communications? They need to get active. They need to get creative, especially now, because this is where the retail market is getting interested, and where to, you know, allocate and diversify their portfolios. And as soon as there's time for redistribution, rotation into other small cap projects, they want basically BLOCX to be at the forefront of their mind. And I think they need to allocate a little bit of time in their marketing, their social events on the X platform. 34 X posts in the last 30 days. It's not bad. On average, about 1 per day. But if you look at them, there are a lot of repetition, you know, announcements. They need to have something else going on there. Okay, I'm not a social media specialist, although I'm on social media all day long. I'm not gonna be the one that says what they should be doing. I have some ideas, but nonetheless, they need to get some active community happening in there, because as it looks pretty dead. Okay, it needs a little bit more. Maybe it's the Discord. The Discord needs a bit of help there. Too much friction to get in, like I mentioned before. The Telegram is decent. A lot of my questions were answered really quickly and professionally by the team team members, and even the founder was there. I forget his name right now. Raynar was there answering my questions, which I really did appreciate. And it's not very common that you do see that. I know it's a low cap project, that's why it's very small, so we could get that treatment as of now, and as it grows it may change, but at the current moment this is what we got. I got a positive experience, but they need to put a bit more effort on the X. Tokenomics, proof of work emissions, each having reduces the emission by 20%, 10-year fully diluted. Pretty solid. The emission schedule is decent, it's there. There's no real ambiguity, everything's spelled out. If you approve of all of what's happening, the team only gets 3%, which is totally fine, and it's again emissioned over 10 years. 10 out of 10 partnership. Lots of partnerships happening for such a small project. A lot of them have to do with the nodes, which are very necessary to keep their project sustainable. So I give them a lot of kudos there. And Flux Labs is obviously one of the bigger ones for me. I think that's a good one. So I'm going just based on their size, I'm going to give them a lot of credit for already starting with such a group behind them. So that's pretty good. Exchanges. This could be considered a positive thing or even a negative thing, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay, so if you're a trader, you're looking for a place where you're going to find tokens, you're going to find liquidity, you want an exchange that has a lot of liquidity. Mexi is the biggest one here. Okay, they have the majority of the liquidity most of the time. We have CoinX kind of coming up, Gate I'm not really crazy about. The rest of them are very small, and I'm assuming that they have low capital, they have low liquidity. So what that means, if you're an investor, if you're looking to buy and sell, if there's not a lot of liquidity, it's going to be very difficult to get your basically orders filled, which when you're in profit in the top of the bull run, you want to be able to get your orders filled quick so you can get out, you can sell. And if there's no liquidity, how you're going to be able to sell? So on paper you might be very profitable, but if there's no buyers because there's no liquidity, that is a bit of an issue. So this is why I gave it 4 out of 10. However, guys, there's a positive side to this, because it could get listed on a major exchange, Binance and Coinbase, and maybe even, is there KuCoin here? No, KuCoin. So KuCoin's pretty big as well, it's getting there. Mexi, it's nice to see Mexi there. Bybit and all of these others are, I would say B tier ish, but we're looking for the Binances and the Coinbases, because those guys are going to the ones that are going to bring in a lot of liquidity, a lot of volume, a lot of market participation, and then we'll get that fluctuation in price and most likely start seeing the price run up once that that liquidity and the overall volume increases based on those outlets. Okay, so think of them as outlets and how much liquidity is available in those outlets. 4 out of 10 for that. Again, glass half full, glass half empty, whichever way you want to look at it. As a trader, I like to see that there's some liquidity and trading volume. And speaking of that, let's look at this. So BLOCX right now, the price could have fluctuated in the last little while since I was doing research, but more or less, market cap $7.98 million market cap. It's a baby still. A trading volume is very low. It's not the biggest. I like to see about 10% to 15% trading volume. It starts to show me that there's a lot of market participation, and it correlates directly to the fact that they don't have major listings, right? Only Mexi, but it's still okay. If we wait for all those listings and we wait for all those perfect things to align, I'll tell you this, the market cap and the price won't be at the same level. We're going to go up higher if it aligns properly. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Max supply, we already talked about this, 169 million, and fully diluted is only $18 million. Guys, this thing is a baby. There's a lot of opportunity here for growth to the upside. Now, what could we be expecting in the future? Now, if the team gets doxed completely and we see an update with regards to the white papers and a few things of clarity and a very nice repackaging of some of the data and the information and a bit of effort on the socials, this thing could do a lot better. And just think about it, if there's a lot of hype on the socials, a lot of the times these major exchanges seek out the projects themselves, and that's a very that's a power shift in the sense, and that would allow them to negotiate better when trying to get listed. Okay, so we want to get there on the socials, we want to get the pumpamentals and all that hype going on the socials, and of course that's where we'll get some of the volume going. So my overall verdict, okay, let's just quickly go through this verdict and see what's going on here. I do feel like as a layer 1, security, privacy, DeFi, they got a bit of DeFi going to be happening there with their DEX and DePIN. Of course, these are all great. Okay, the value proposition did pivot to DePIN significantly in the last little while. Some people are a bit on the fence about that, don't like the fact that they lost focus, but I don't look at it as only as a negative. It could be a 50-50. It could be looked at as a positive and a negative. Okay, so always look at both sides of the coin, no pun intended, but at the end of the day, there is always two possibilities. It could be a positive thing. They pivoted into an arena or a narrative that is bullish, and if they have the tech, they have the talent, they have the capabilities, why not allocate a bit of resources there to fully take advantage of that trend? And even if it's a short-term trend, it's okay. We're in a bull run. We want to have access to that trend anyway. Emission chart needs is hard to read. As I mentioned, a graph would help, some sort of linear graph properly labeled with dates and genesis and all that stuff. I've noticed that a lot of the teams, they don't create proper charts. And not to say that they didn't, because they don't even have one graph. Their chart is hard to read, so I'm not going to criticize them there. But overall, as a blanket statement, I would like to see teams put effort in how they display the information, because again, they have to display it from the mindset of a retail investor. Okay, the white paper and the Git book needs an update. That's clean and clear. Even the founder did mention that it needs to be updated, so we're just gonna hold them accountable to that. It needs a bit of an update so we can get clarity. No TGE listed on the white paper, which is always something that I'm gonna be criticizing that significantly in the next little while. That should be like your first opening statement. You know, BLOCX was created and deployed on this date, and then continue. And that way we know exactly where it came from, you know, and what it went through already, and you know, and its progression through its vesting period or emission schedule, right? It all depends on what we're talking about here. Okay, so we need TGEs on all, whether it be proof of work, proof of stake, it doesn't matter. We need Genesis dates, and that will definitely be helpful. Team needs to be doxed, guys. It's a given, right? I know it's governed by a DAO, and I know a lot of DAOs feel like teams don't need to be doxed because they have no real role. I don't believe in that, because there's always levels of centralization, and that centralization means that there's an individual or a couple or a few that are basically backing the project and supporting the project going forward. So and very pivotal you know, decision making happens at that level. So what we really have to understand is that you know, we need to know who's the talent behind the team, and in this case we have such a great ecosystem, so much happening there. We want to know what talent has been basically implemented into the development of those projects. So going forward, I hope they come out with a fully doxed team with nice LinkedIn accounts that are up to date and so on. Founder is active on Telegram. I'm going to give him a thumbs up for that. He's definitely there, ready to go, answer questions, provide information. And now that the project is young, I think he's taking full advantage and definitely putting himself out there for the community, which is great. Governed by a DAO, we talked about already. Clear roadmap, but does need an update. We talked about it also. Discord has too much friction to join. I gave up. I wanted to get on their Discord. I prefer Discord over Telegram, just for the fact that we can get a lot more clear, organized information, but they require too much bots and too many things and verifications to get on, and I chose not to. Unfortunate, but I think that needs to be revisited and recalculated. I know there's a lot of scams on Discord, but also you don't want to make it like too difficult and too annoying and too invasive for a person to join. Okay, let's keep it like that. Now my target, let's be real about this, guys. I get a lot of questions about my targets. My targets are just hypothetical. There's no one is going to know where this is going to go, right? Targets are hypothetical and based on market conditions, and market conditions are basically dependent on so many factors, even the traditional markets, politics, you know, civil unrest, if there is any at any given time, and so on and so forth. So what we really got to understand is that these are just hypothetical, and most of the time I use my targets are formulated using competition-based pricing. Okay, that's from a marketing perspective. That's what it's called, competition-based pricing. At the end of the day, I know my competition here for BLOCX, the biggest cap or one of the major players at this current moment that many people are talking about. We're talking about Render as a DPIN, right? DPIN. Now, remember that BLOCX is not just DPIN. They got a lot more going on, but we're going to use Render for now just to say, look, if BLOCX can keep up or match up to the current state of Render at its current valuation as a main competitor, if it catches up, and when we don't know, it could catch up even the next cycle, it could reach a 615x. Crazy price target, right? Crazy price target. But why not, right? It could happen. Now, just keep it in mind that it's a very bullish and maybe a very exaggerated price target in the immediate short term, but we can scale it down and to be a little bit more realistic and look at other security narrative projects that right now are there and leading the way. And the project is called Fort. Okay, the ticker is Fort, F-O-R-T. I think it's Forta, if I'm not mistaken. And right now, okay, look, if it catches up, it could do a 17x. Maybe it could do a little bit more, right? It could do a 17x, maybe a 20x. It's a small market cap. We know that BLOCX market cap is very small, so it could definitely do very well. A $2 target? Why not? $2 target for this bull run, I think that's modest. I think that's healthy. I think, yeah, maybe it could catch up to render in multiple cycles. It could even do it in this cycle. What do we know, right? It could make a massive partnership. It could do some great stuff going forward and maybe do it, but we don't know. So what we do know is that being modest is the best way to do it, and look for signals of the entire market using Bitcoin and other factors to understand where the market top is going to be, the cycle top is going to be, and wherever that lands, if it's right around this area, guys, just start taking profit. That's the best way to do it. Do it day by day, week by week. When we see the market looking weak, that's when we start getting defensive on our gains. That's my overall ballpark, maybe about $2. If we get there, I'm interested and walk away with some profit. Now, if we look at my overall verdict, I give it a 10 out of 10. There are some things that I would like to see fixed. The majority of the friction or the issue that I have right now is the lack of transparency with regards to the team, and the lack of, talent for the team. We need to see what's going on there as far as talent, who's behind it, and why is this project looking so good, and who's behind it and who's creating all this great stuff. Okay, so 7 out of 10 for now. I'm being very modest. I'm trying to be very real about this going forward. Okay, so that's that. Pretty good stuff. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts as well, so let's take a look at the price action. What's going on with BLOCX? In the last little while, we see that BLOCX has been falling down a little bit in the downward slope. However, it's looking good from a risk to reward ratio opportunity. You guys know I focus on that significantly. Let's look at this in a little bit more detail. Generally speaking, when I look at risk to reward, I look at it as an opportunity to get into a trade and build a position where my losses can be mitigated and my rewards can be take full advantage of, right? We want to make sure that we can run to the upside with some nice good opportunity while I can still put a stop loss at a good risk to reward ratio. Now, we do see a lot of resistance right around this area. Now, I know we came up with a little bit of volume, not too much, and came right back down. I like this heart line because it's very confluent with the top of this accumulation range right into here. In fact, what I would really like to do is put a horizontal right there so we can be clear about its precision. We want precision, okay? And in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of this channel so that we can be a little bit more precise with some of the volume indications that we got going on here. We have the point of control right here. We have the bottom of this accumulation range. I want you to ask yourself, what do you think is happening into this level? Why are there so many people? Now, one thing that bothers me is that we're making slightly lower lows. Okay, we got to understand that slightly lower lows means that there's more sellers than buyers at the current moment, which is not a good look, right? Given the fact that we're right now at a critical level at the bottom of the accumulation range. However, from a risk to reward ratio opportunity, it's the best time to consider taking risk. Why? Because you can put a stop loss very, very clearly, very comfortably right underneath this thick yellow line. So I'm going to kind of do one of these, and I'm going to just identify that we do look like we're downward sloping. Whether we include this or not, we're downward sloping very clearly. We're in a fat accumulation range with lots of market participation, and we're at the bottom of the range. If we break above 16 cents, 16.7 cents, the weakness in the chart starts to begin. Look how weak this is in comparison to this. What do you think these people are doing? Either selling off or buying the dip. As soon as we start showing signs of a bottom, which we'll talk about in a second, if there is signs in the bottom of a bottom, all these people are preparing for a run to the upside so we can break above 16.70, 17 cents, and then we can snap to the previous high, which is at about 26 cents, and then perhaps get into price discovery, which is what you might want to be waiting for, right? That's exactly what we're trying to understand, is what are we preparing for at this level? And I would say that this market participation at the current moment is preparing for an expansion phase to the upside, because the overall market is in a bullish stance. We know that the halving came around, we have Ethereum ETFs, we have everything everything right now lining up politically, and everything is looking good for a bull run, right? So when do we get the bull run? When we get this bull run, we're going to see BLOCX start running to the upside. Now, from a setup perspective, do we see any signs of a divergence? Let's begin with that. We are at horizontals. We know that we are at a very strong horizontal support, almost last line in the sand type of level. We're making lower lows on the price action. And at this level, we see a lot of the momentum kind of going sideways. And at this point, we started to see it moving upwards. Okay, is there a bit of divergence? It is a bit of divergence, very, very little and very weak divergence, but it's there. I'm not really confident in it, to be honest, but it's there. Okay, now we do see the trend, in fact, looking a bit different. There's stronger evidence of divergence in the trend oscillator. We have the expansions to the downside getting smaller and smaller and smaller twice. We see multiple drives of class A bullish divergence into the trend expansions, to the point that we got a nice purple expansion to the upside, and we're waiting for the EMAs to get into the bullish control zone. We're waiting for the green histogram bars to remain green and start getting some good strength to the upside. What I really would like to see, other than trend, is the expansion and momentum. You see how we get green expansions to the upside right here? I would love to see the beginning of a green expansion right into here. And what I would like to wait for is to see if the orange line is done pushing down. It does look like it's holding support right into this previous low at about 30%. It could get a bounce, but ideally we see it get oversold, get oversold, get oversold. Every time it gets extremely oversold, if you go long and you go long and you go long and you go long, maybe we go down here and go long, we are generally getting bounces, lots of bounces and bounces to the upside. And imagine if we see the purple line, which is the momentum line, start trending to the upside, so it gets overbought, and we can trade the trend line of the momentum alongside the line of the volatility, which is the orange line. We want volatility. Traders want volatility, but we want to trade the volatility in the direction of the momentum. So if the momentum finally gives us an upward sloping direction, let's trade long when we see the orange line oversold. We'll get into long positions and trade it to the upside alongside with the momentum moving upwards. That's exactly what I'm going to be waiting for. I would love to see a green expansion, which we're kind of early right now, and we see some green dots here giving us confluence that we should be putting this on a watch list. Why? Because we are double bottoming here, guys. We are showing signs of support at this bottom. So really, from a risk to reward ratio, it's looking good. Both momentum is not bad, but trend is even looking better. Price action at the end of the day, risk to reward. So let's look at this and how we can play this out. Trade setup wise, let's say you get in right now, hypothetical. Okay, let's get in right at the current moment. Let's get this long position setup going right here. Let's get rid of this so we can clean up this chart. And let's put our stop loss nice and tight right around here. Just give it a bit of wiggle room. I know my entry right now would have been the entry would be better if we come down a little bit lower, but we'll keep it right where it is right now just to deal with what we have going on. And the next area of resistance for me, where I will be worried for a rejection, is right here at about 17 cents. Okay, and to be accurate, 16.8 cents, which will put me at 64% profit, and I'm risking approximately 24%, which means that my risk reward ratio is not bad. It's 2.6. I like 3 to 1 at best. Right now we're not even there. So if we can improve our entry by coming down back to the bottom and still maintaining our stop loss at around that level, you can see that we can severely basically improve our risk to reward ratio. Just putting it right around here, modestly speaking, right around here, it's at 4.5 to 1 more or less, and we could definitely improve our ratio, making us profitable about 80% with our reward risk coming down to about 17. Okay, so let's keep that in mind, that if we can DCA at lower levels and accumulate right into this bottom closer to invalidation, which invalidation is at about 7.6 cents, 7.7 cents, it puts us at a better scenario from risk to reward, sacrificing a minimal amount of your portfolio. Just keep in mind, position size matters. Just think about it. If right now you get in and you get in with $100, you're only sacrificing $24. If you get in with $1,000, you're sacrificing a lot more for this loss, but your rewards will be a lot higher. So always think about what you're willing to lose, and then it shouldn't be more than 2% of your portfolio. You want to make sure that you can walk away with a loss and still have enough capital to enter again into the market and play again with the same position size. Okay, you want to do it slow and steady and win a few. Obviously, you're going to lose many, but those losses have to be mitigated. The losses have to be mitigated. The wins have to be totally taken to the upside. And what about if we break out? Get into the absolute weak spot right into here where we see a lot of weakness with regards to price action. At this point, you can trail up a stop loss, take 10% off the top, let the rest continue moving up. And at this point, you're up 155%. Then you have some clear decision making, right? What do I do? Do I take half on the double? Do I take another 10%? Do I trail up a stop loss and put it right into this level now, securing at least 50% of my gains already? So you can protect your gains, not only your initial investment. You want to protect your gains, so just in case it does roll over for a bit of a dip, at least you can walk away very comfortable and saying I'm profitable regardless of what happens to the market. Whatever happens to even, you know, the traditional markets or the world or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm profitable. I can walk away profitable. But then a lot of us are thinking, what about price discovery? What about bull run levels? Remember my target, $2. What about if we get to a $2 mark, even a $1 mark, guys? Even $1. Let's be modest here. Look at this. You're up 800, 900%. You get my point. So what you really have to do is say, I'm going to be getting in right now, taking risk on this entry. Number one is to protect your initial investment. You want to make sure that your stop loss is not sacrificing too much getting in. Build a position in this level over time as you build confirmations. So you get bounces, you get a bounce, you break the trend line, you come out, back down, back test, confirmation low, and then you move out for the higher high, and then all of a sudden you start seeing higher highs and higher lows. Maybe we come down and back test, and then we continue. You get what I mean? This is the way the markets work, guys. We're not going to go up in one green candle, V recovery, and start smashing price targets to the upside. It happens with peaks and valleys, and as you get those confirmations in those peaks and valleys, you're looking for a change of character in the structure, because as of now, we're making lower lows and lower highs. As soon as we get evidence of a higher high or a high or low, we can build confidence with that confluence to start deploying more capital and increasing our position size, so that ultimately when we do get into a bull run and we hit $1 or $2, guys, we'll be up significantly on this micro cap. Okay, this is what we have to do, is at the beginning focus on protecting your capital, your initial investment. Once you get yourself into profit, start coming up with a plan to protect your gains and still trail up that stop loss so that you can protect your initial investment and your gains and still leave some skin in the game, because we should have a bullish thesis right now that we are entering the parabolic phase of a bull run, and that is when you want to have your positions somewhat intact. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. See you tonight, 7:30 Eastern, going live, talking about crypto news and price action. And don't forget, buy the dip.